Hi there, and welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. In today's episode, we'll listen to a beautiful and emotional story called The Rainy Day That Changed Everything. It's a perfect chance for you to practice your English listening skills while enjoying a meaningful and inspiring story. So, get comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's begin. It all started on a quiet Saturday morning, the kind of day you expect to be slow and ordinary, but I didn't know then that it would become the rainy day that changed everything for me. I had just made a cup of coffee, sat by the window, and was about to read a book when I noticed the clouds gathering, dark, heavy, and thick like smoke slowly covering the sky, and although I usually liked rain, there was something different about that morning. Something that felt unusual in the air, like a quiet tension before something big happens, and as I watched the first drops hit the window, I didn't yet realize how important this day would become. But when the rain started falling harder, like the sky had opened up completely, I saw a figure across the street, someone standing at the bus stop without an umbrella, completely soaked, not moving, just standing there staring ahead, and I don't know why but I couldn't look away. There was something familiar about that person, something I couldn't explain, so I stood up, put on my jacket, grabbed an old umbrella, and walked outside, the cold rain hitting my face like tiny needles. And when I crossed the street and got closer, I saw her face, Emma, my best friend from high school whom I hadn't seen in over 10 years, and for a second I thought maybe I was wrong, but then she turned to me with that same confused but curious look she used to have, and she said my name slowly, like she couldn't believe it, and I said hers too, and then we just stood there, surprised and speechless, both of us dripping wet in the pouring rain, until we finally started laughing. The kind of laugh that only comes when something impossible suddenly becomes real, and she told me she had just arrived in town for a job interview, that her phone had died, and she had gotten lost on her way back to the hotel, and that she had stopped at the bus stop to think, and I told her to come with me, that I lived just across the street, so we walked together. Soaking wet and freezing, but smiling like children after playing in puddles, and when we got inside, I gave her a towel and made her a cup of tea while she dried her hair near the heater, and it felt so strange and so familiar at the same time, like no time had passed since high school, even though everything had changed, our lives, our jobs, the cities we lived in, the people we had become. And as we talked and caught up on old memories and new stories, I realized how much I had missed her. How many times I had thought about writing or calling, but always got too busy or too unsure, and now here she was, sitting in my living room like no time had passed at all, and we talked for hours, about college, about her travels, about my boring office job, about books, movies, silly things from the past, and serious things too, and we laughed and even cried a little, and when the rain finally slowed down, the sky turned a strange golden color, and we both looked out the window like we were seeing the world for the first time again, and that's when she told me she wasn't sure if she wanted the job she had come to interview for, that she had been feeling lost lately, like she didn't know who she was or where she was supposed to be, and I told her I understood, because I had been feeling the same for a long time, and that maybe life was trying to tell us something, maybe the rain had brought us back together for a reason. And she smiled in that quiet way that meant she was really thinking, and then she asked if she could stay the night, and of course I said yes, and we spent the evening making pasta and listening to old songs, and by the time we went to sleep, it felt like something had shifted inside me, like I had remembered something important that I had forgotten, and the next morning the sun was shining brightly, the streets were still wet, and the air was fresh and cool, and Emma decided to cancel her interview and stay a few more days, and during that time, we walked around the city, visited old places we used to love, discovered new ones, talked about everything, and slowly I started to feel alive again, like the version of me I had put aside for so long was returning. And when she left a week later, we promised not to lose contact again, and this time we meant it, because we both knew now how rare second chances were, and after she left, I sat by the same window with a fresh cup of coffee and thought about how one rainy day had changed everything. Not just because I saw her again, but because it reminded me that life can surprise you at any moment, that even the most ordinary days can hold something extraordinary, and since then, I've tried to pay more attention to the little signs around me, to say yes more often, to take walks in the rain, and to reconnect with the people and parts of myself that I had let slip away, and sometimes when it rains, I smile and remember that moment, standing in the storm with Emma, not knowing what would come next, but knowing that something had already changed forever, and even though we both went back to our own lives, we stayed in touch, talked every week, shared small joys and big fears, and after a few months, she moved back to the city, not for the job, but to start fresh, and we became close again, not just as old friends catching up, but as people who had seen the world and come back with stories and scars and hope. And sometimes we sit and talk about that rainy day, and we both agree that life gives us exactly what we need at the right time, even if we don't see it right away, and I'll always believe that rainy days aren't just gloomy, they can be beautiful, full of new beginnings, full of second chances, full of unexpected magic. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the story and that it helped you practice and improve your English. Remember, listening to stories is a great way to learn new vocabulary and understand natural expressions. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and come back soon for more episodes. Take care, and see you next time.